Yeah, baby. Yeah. The Mac is back. Back with another video. Hello, the initiated. My name is Marcus Jonikola, and today we're having a look at Heavyocity's Scoring Guitars 2. Now, Scoring Guitars 1 is actually something I'm very familiar with because I have an album called 1 is Greater Than 0, and I actually used Scoring Guitars 1 on that pretty extensively. I use a lot of the ambient pads in that one come from Scoring Guitars, and then I use something from Orange Tree Samples, the Evolution Strawberry, to kind of pair with that, and that's pretty much the combo core for that album. So I'm actually immensely interested in checking out Scoring Guitars 2 because I'm feeling like I want to write a second album in that sort of a style, kind of an evolution of what I explored on that record. So super excited to check out what this is about and how it's different, perhaps, to number 1. I'm going to take myself to their website just to see how they themselves summarize this. So they call it a driving cinematic sequel. Taps an arsenal of world-class guitars and amps to deliver an edgy collection of pulses, pads, phrases, and ambient beds and drones. So indeed, it has a very wide selection of different types of approaches. What I really like about that is that this is like a toolkit. You know, it's not just one thing that it's throwing at you, but you have a number of different things that you can use and therefore be inspired and driven to create different sort of stuff. But all of it is, of course, wrapped together in a way that is cohesive, at least in Scoring Guitars 1. Cool. So the website here, pretty basic. They say it builds on the inspiring foundation of the original, adding chunky rhythmic pedals, a plucked multi-sampled semi-hollow body, and a new set of keys, D and G, to this refreshed collection of pulses, pads, phrases, and ambiances. Cool world-class gear. I don't doubt they did use that. And they used a bunch of world-class effects, as I'm sure they did. Tech specs wise, this is 5.33 gigs uncompressed and 4.1 gigs compressed. Over 300 motion presets, over 380 NKIs. Cool. Requirements: does not require gravity. This confusion existed for a long time when the first Gravity came out, and then they called these libraries Gravity Packs, which was like, oh, do I then need gravity? But you don't, indeed. Perhaps not the best naming style in the world, because I'm sure they suffered and probably still do, receiving a lot of questions about this, but they are fair questions because they are called Gravity Packs, which is kind of interesting. I wonder if they use those terms less these days here, but yeah, it's a standalone library, contact player, version 5.7.1 or higher. Cool. Pretty basic stuff. So essentially guitars in a multitude of different fashions. Let's start by looking at the folder structure here. So when you open the side panel here, let me just check that this is working for you as well. Cool. You have this folder structure here, which goes Ambient Beds and Drones, Melodic Phrases and Phrases, Melodic Pulses and Phrases, both wet and dry, pads, performance, palettes, Rhythmic Pedals, Wet and Dry, Xtra Playables. So we're just going to start with Ambient Beds and Drones. Again, this is the thing that I'm probably most familiar with in terms of what was in Scoring Guitars 1. In here, you have basically two menu choices: D minor, drone plus ambience menu, G minor, drone plus ambience menu. And you can pitch these with the key switches down below. So you're not locked into these keys, in fact. You can move around a fair bit. And then I believe the single elements here are basically the single elements that appear in these menus. But we're probably just gonna look at these ones here. So Blue Zone, this one basically includes the different drones and ambiences. So we'll play those and see where we get. Actually, before we start touching on transparency, Heavyocity did send me this copy, so thank you to them for doing that. That being said, all opinions are my own, both in good and bad. I haven't been asked to say anything one way or the other, nor would I ever do that, and I'm not being paid to film or edit this video. In terms of what you'll be hearing today, it's only Scoring Guitars 2 in action. I don't add any effects, reverb, anything. We only have a limiter on the master bus to make the level decent for this video. The limiter is set to be as transparent as I can possibly make it, and we will be having to, I don't know why I always mess that up. We have to adjust that as we move along because these presets and pads and etc. are differing levels. So if you see me adjust something here with my mouse and nothing's happening on the interface, that's what I'm doing, adjusting the limiter. If you hear clipping, it's probably the limiter, and if it's not the limiter, I'll let you know, and I'll probably let you know either way. Briefly touching on this this interface here, this is the old, because we have Gravity 2 today, but the older Gravity interface, which is still great, has a lot of smaller twiddly knobs here, but it's still, you know, very navigatable, and yeah, it looks good. So you have some effects on the left: reverb, chorus, delay, distortion. You have this essentially, yeah, punish, they call it punish control in the middle. Fantastic animation here. You also have this twist knob, and then you have the sample control where you can tune, pan, level, start, and random. So you can adjust the starting time of this, and also go in. Oh, you can actually go in here and change it, as far as I can tell. But yeah, basic stuff. Then you have ADSR control, which is simple enough. And yeah, down in the bottom you have then an EQ page, TFX, and then Emotion. So a lot of stuff here. Again, Heavyocity products are really, really well designed, so you can jump in and tweak to your heart's desires. But let's have a listen to what these sound like. Cool. So out of the gate, there is more momentum here, I'd say, like more movement compared to Scoring Guitars 1. This is the first note I'm playing, so, and again, this is a blind demo, but yeah, I mean, with that, I found that I need to add movement a lot more somehow, but you know, this sounds like it's cycling through different things a lot more. Again, the key control here down in this key switch section, as it says, when you open this up, it's in D minor, and these are probably done in D minor. That's why it's named that way. But you can actually change the keys from the bottom here. And this is actually good if you're going through your song and you want to change the chord you're in. So I wouldn't really use that unless I was going for a very like sampled style sound. But again, you can move if you want to go to, let's say, E. Again, the closer you stay to the original key, the less it's gonna sound pitched. But again, all of these sound great, and it's you know, the perception of whether it sounds okay or not is very much linked to knowing what the original pitch is. So for example, playing the highest pitch, I mean, you wouldn't know that's pitched, but yeah, I mean, this is super useful because it really gives you basically a lot of range to be in the key you want to be in. And going lower like we just did, it gives a different kind of a dark ambient feel to them. All of these keys include like a different loop to my understanding. So yeah, super cool, very cinematic, very vibey. And what I like about these is that they're very much obviously in the same landscape. So you can combine many of these within one song or write an album based on these like I did. Yeah, I mean, to me, these are fantastic. Very cinematic, very ambient. They give you this kind of charged, electrified, like Japan in rainy Japan. Futuristic, rainy, melancholic Japan. That's my definition of these. But yeah, super, super cool. Like, again, very inspiring, and that's indeed how I ended up writing the first album in the first place. But yeah, super, super cool, especially those kind of more moody ambient things. I just love that. So you got 2 octaves of different 2 octaves worth of different samples. Again, not useful to talk about them in octaves because these are literally just banks that have a single sound. The octaves don't change. You change them from here, from the key switches. Really cool system. And what I like about the ambient sounds as well is that you can move around keys that are, you know, what's the word that I'm looking for? Well, compatible with the original key of the ambience. So at least I found on that first album in this style that I did is that you can very much stay in that one note because it will harmonize very nicely with keys that, you know, shift around it. But obviously then at times I would have to change the key to something that went well with the key changes that I was working in. But so you got, that would make it, what, 24 different sounds in this bank. And again, you can choose whatever key you want to work in. On the red, you have these trigger effects, they're called. So you can add lo-fi, distortion filter, panner sort of in real time. So let's see if we can actually make those work. Indeed we can. So yeah, the momentary effects, essentially, kind of performative effects, which are really cool because you can add them in just like that, either by pressing or like I did with the mouse here and recording that MIDI. Very nice things. Again, these are super creative toolkits here. Then we have something in the green called range motion. I don't know what that does, but let's try. All right, so it activates stuff in the motion page, which is here. And that's essentially, this is like a stutter or tremolo effect, which is super cool. So again, you can, in here, you can pretty much, I'd probably figure you can paint in, whatever you want. So again, not a super interesting pattern, but these interfaces, these engines are just so fantastically creative and intuitive. A lot of this is obviously similar to the Mosaic lineup, which I love and use on the soundtrack I'm currently working on a ton. Yeah, this is just super cool stuff. And yeah, I think these might be new additions compared to Scoring Guitars 1. I can't remember. I certainly didn't use them if they were. And if I did, probably sounded better. But yeah, I mean, the ambiences, the drones themselves feel more, there's more motion, they're more livelier, which is certainly something I hoped for. And yeah, this just seems stellar, and these just sound super good. I actually want to reload this. Let's play a few more. I feel like I want to play more of these. So yeah, you can do so many things with this and do music in so many different styles. But I think here, let's move into the G minor drones and ambiences. So these would be written in G, and then again, you can transpose as you wish. But I guess this is the key where they created these. So let's go through these. So I really love those sort of more sparse textural things that sort of feels like the ambience is just sitting there in the horizon and you're staring at it and you're being super existential and thinking about your life choices. Gotta love that. So yeah, I mean, again, you can control the key from here. Basically, I would, find the drone, the ambience you like, and then, these sound rather different depending on, what key you choose, because the change in pitch is pretty significant. So also that affects the sound of it a lot. So it gives a very, very different color, very different tone. I actually like that a lot, so I'm probably going to be using that on something, but something to keep in mind. It's not just the change in key, but the change in the tone, the vibe, the color of it. It's all really, really well thought through. And these are, I mean, it's just I love even the old Gravity engine, because it's just everything is right there and everything is super creative to be waiting to be tweaked with. You have these single element folders. So here you can dive deeper into the elements that are in these menus, as far as I understand it. So if you want to slice it even further down, which I suspect I would want to do, then you can go there and do that. Melodic Pulses and Phrases. So you have two folders. You got the normal one, presumably, or the processed one, presumably, and then a dry one. So let's go with the processed one. In here, you're going to find a key. So we got D, A minor, and G minor, and then single pulses. But these are in phrase menus, which are forward, reversed, and then a combination of that. So let's open the combo in D minor, and let's see what this sounds like. So one thing here to remember, as you can hear, these are velocity dependent. So if I play it quiet, it's going to be super quiet. If I smash it, it's going to be quite loud. But yeah, phrases. So you got that phrase loop going. Again, you can change the key from the pink areas there. But yeah, essentially recorded phrases, and then you can choose the key it's in. Obviously, you can use parts of the loop or the whole loop. Again, here we have the sample window here, which apparently here you can't. You can adjust the start time, which is kind of the same, but I would also like to adjust the ending, but I mean, that will get you most of the way there, I presume. But yeah, let's play a few more of these. To be clear, I don't tend to use these a lot. It really depends on the phrase. Like, I like the simpler they are, the better, because it means I can then, you know, build harmony and who knows, maybe even melody with them. But these can have their time and place. Obviously, with vocal libraries like Vocalese 3, the Vocalese lineup, those can be, again, I don't tend to go super deep on those because they tend to be fantastic quality and they sound great, and I would use them in like specific use cases. Like if I have an ambience, then I want something where a phrase could be cool, then I go and find it, slice and dice it in ways that serve me. So, and they obviously they sound super realistic because they are actually recorded phrases. So they're really cool, a super good tool, and also they can be very inspiring. Find a good phrase and an entire track can come out of it. So it's not to belittle them, but you know, this is what I do with them. Again, so here we have combined the reverse and the normal. So this octave presumably is the reverse. Obviously, you can reverse it yourself in your DAW as well, but this is just faster and also more inspiring, and you can react to it, and you can, you know, also use the engine to make it even further interesting. So I like that they've kept them pretty simple, which means it's easier to work with them, and also you can use parts of them, combine them in different ways. So Heavyocity is really good at this because, you know, with like libraries like Novo and Forzo, etc., a lot of them also utilize like phrases as loops, but they oftentimes are very simple or just like one note things that have a pattern. So it's very easy to harmonize and create your own stuff with them. So I like that these are kept pretty simple, and also good here that they've actually, this is obviously forward going, this top octave, but it's also higher in tone. So they've probably kept it here for that reason. And you have your reverses here and your normal guitar parts here. So yeah, I mean, these sound great. No criticism here. Good stuff. I mean, let's do something from, let's do forward from G minor. So these are clearly more like, there's a word here that exists that I'm looking for, but shorter, more sort of melodic thing. And also what that sounds like in context depends entirely obviously on your key, and that sound will be relative to that key. So it's like thinking of these as, oh, they're just loops. It makes no sense because it doesn't have no musical context. So you like how good these will sound and how creative and interesting they are comes down to everything else that you do. So yeah, and oftentimes you can, so many, especially like with vocal phrases, you can find so many interesting, inspiring results because the vocals really just play, the vocal melody line plays with your harmony in a very unique way. So I actually think these are far more versatile from that compositional perspective as well. Cool. I mean, we're not going to spend more time on that. Let's move into pads. I'm going to try and emphasize the stuff that I am sort of most interested in. Maybe that, hopefully that's also what you are interested in, but let's do complex. And I think we maybe can play all of these because we don't have that many. So this one is all Underworld, and I presume this is just playable. Okay, so this one has like a baked in harmony in there, so limited to what you can do with that. Obviously you can jump in and then see if you can tune the certain elements, which oftentimes you actually can. Yeah, finding a level consistency here, because these are velocity dependent. So, you know, a lot of notes can be louder than others. I would probably turn much of that off here, because you just kind of get a level difference. You don't get a textural difference there. So obviously you don't want all of those levels to be at the same level, but I would probably, with libraries like these, do it in the MIDI editor instead of playing it out, because I can't really get a good like feedback loop going in terms of feel, because they're not built like that, these libraries. So, but yeah, obviously you can turn off the velocity thingamajiggy here as well. This makes it so that they're always at full velocity. Are clipping the limiter here, but cool. Next preset, For Whom the Bell Tolls. So they're great sounding pads. What I, in Gravity 1 as well said the same thing, that they can get a bit static. So you might want to do some modulation on them. stuff like that. So just something to keep in mind. But the bass sound of it, the textures, the sound combinations tend to be super solid. Just keep in mind that you might want to bake some motion in there. And so you can go in this page as well if you want, which obviously has a lot of stuff going already. Actually, really cool effects, really cool textures on that one. Harmonious Realms. Hot and Cold. Very cool. There's more motion there. That's really nice. Again, like I don't usually tend to exactly trigger the velocity that I'm after, but I mean, it just tends to be the case with these Gravity 1 libraries. They're just not sort of, I don't actually know what it is. Like maybe the velocity curve here is just different. But also with pad sounds, it can be difficult to assess the velocity as you're playing it because you don't really know what's about to follow. So it could be a mental tweak as well. Minor Levitation. Super nice atmosphere, really loving that. Again, here you can hear kind of the same thing that I've talked about a lot when it comes to ambience libraries. Like you don't tend to want to wander too far to the top end because things become very harsh and piercing. Again, staying here just keeps it very cinematic, very immersive. Mysterious Tremolos. That's super good. These are actually a lot more refined. That's super responsive. And again, if I stay here, that's good. Stubborn Enemy. Yeah, these are actually really solid. There's a lot more movement and motion there, which really brings these to life in a new way. Talking Grains. Yeah, fantastic. I really love that. I actually want to write a track based on that. Okay, looks like we went through all the complex pads presets. Then these are again further broken down into elements menus, elements ambiances, and elements shorts, which are shorter elements of those things. But that's again, the layout here is super cool because you can kind of break down simpler, smaller. Start with the bigs, you know, here's something you like, and then break it down further and go from there. Or if you want, you can of course start small and find your stuff from there. But then we have these things called performance palettes, which seem to combine different aspects here. So D minor all phrases, D minor all pulses, D minor drones and pedals and phrases. So different combinations of the different content in here. I think instead of going there, let's do rhythmic pedals first, and we'll go with the presumably processed things. We got here you got combinations, pedal menus, single pedals. So let's do which one would be the best for the demo? Let's do pedal menus, and let's just try and see how far we get this way. Again, these are super cool in Vocalese because you can they're very simple, and you can combine them as you want and just create your own harmony chords. So I love this concept, and again, it can spark new ideas and creativity and make you look at writing parts differently, which is always a huge plus. I should say that a lot of the detection in pitch also comes from the reverb, because it pitches there with the sound. So I'll probably turn that off and do the reverb separately, so it kind of glues the transitions better. But here you can hear that the pitch is sort of going, I don't know, somehow bleeding there into the reverb. So, okay, I'm starting to understand how this is now structured. So I would want to play these as chords, which I always struggle to remember how this works. But let's try the stacked combos to see whether this does the job. Limiter clipping there. Yeah, so here we have the pitch changing as per how I play here. And it's so tough to, the velocity seems like it's super sensitive. So I want to dial that back down, because otherwise we're going to have, the level is going to be all the way, all over the place. Damn, yeah. That is very, very annoying. This is probably the biggest issue I have with these libraries. Okay, let's try and find, if I smash the velocity completely, try and find a good level. Yeah, so these are really cool. I really like these because you can work with pitch. So that's always really, really cool. Let's do a couple of more here. Cool. And obviously the more interesting these patterns are, the more interesting the results can be. So you can hear how obviously you can hear some of the pitching for sure, but a really great way to do like realistic sounding stuff, and yeah, this is just a great way of doing, if you pick this kind of approach of sampling like a phrase or a pedal as they call them. Yeah, fantastic low end on that one. But yeah, you get the idea. Let's do one more. So you can combine them as you wish. Very cool. I like that. What is staggered? Let's check it out. I'm not sure what that means, but maybe this will explain itself once I play this. So it seems like they're just combining different different of those pedals into one single patch. Cool. Very much enjoy those. Xtra Playables. Let's just try these real quick. It sounds like more like a futuristic harpsichord. It doesn't sound like a guitar. Like, one of the important things about this library is that this isn't intended to be like a super realistic playable, like play exactly as you want kind of a library. So to have anything here in this way is Actually pretty surprising to me as well, but it sounds like sounds really good, but it's like a futuristic harpsichord. The sound is really nice. Yeah, super playable, very nice sound. Obviously it sounds like some kind of a harpsichord to me, but I'm actually interested in getting more of that kind of stuff. Let's see what this is. Long distortion sustain. It's nice. Gets a bit harsh on the top end, but interesting concept. Rhythmic chunks and plucks. Brilliant sound. I love that plucking element, and again, you can obviously turn down the ones you didn't want to have in there as much as I love my futuristic harpsichord. That's a really cool one. I wish these kind of things were more in there. These kind of consistent plucky things. They might be in the pedals. We only briefly explored them, but that's really nice. I really like that. Let's go into performance palettes and all pulses. Let's do all pulses and just explore a couple of these. So yeah, they're kind of like phrases, but done in this sort of a rhythmic, pretty minimal pitch movement way. Let's see if let's do drones, pedals, and phrases. So these, yeah, combine these different elements into these performative patches. So yeah, you can go in here and, you know, kind of build your own thingy-majingy if you want. I don't personally prefer to work this way, but again, each to their own. But yeah, I want to jump in the pulses just a bit more to see if I can find something. So yeah, I mean, they're like, I don't know what else to call them, like phrases, but just done in a certain style. So cool. All right, I think time to wrap this one up. I really enjoy this. Again, what I want to do here is just maybe move this a tad here, so I can maybe sum this up for you in a way that where I can see the big picture of this, or you can see the big picture of this. Ambient Beds and Drones. Really like these. Again, I like those sort of sparser, more evocative, emotional, textural, something lying there in the horizon type of things. I just love that tone. I don't know what it is, but very cool. Very happy to see that they have come more alive. There's more movement, there's more textural changes, more shifting, actually quite a bit. And many of them were just spot on. Again, fantastic to have these in further folders, further elements, so you can pick whatever speaks to you and go with that. And oftentimes I would, you know, undress those down to the very core of what I want to use. Get usually in music you want to get rid of as much as possible and just use the the stuff that is essential. So that's very cool. Phrases and pulses, again, these are in the same folder, so it's no wonder I perceive them as being kind of the same thing, but kind of a different style. Phrases are more melodic and pulses are more rhythmic. Great quality. I mean, there's a pretty good selection of them. Good option to have also dry versus the processed ones. Again, these are very situational where I would personally use them, but they can be fantastic. Sometimes you need a bit of a touch of something super realistic and different, kind of give flavor and context. So very useful to have. The same thing pretty much as vocal phrases are. They don't tend to be a primary key component of what I'm working in, but I throw them in to emphasize a moment or create a realistic, nice phrase somewhere, or build more mood and ambience. Or sometimes they work in unexpected ways with the harmony that I'm going for, and that's very interesting. So good to have those in there in guitar form as well. Pads really took me by surprise, because in Gravity 1, again, there's a lot of that kind of there's not enough motion to my taste in many cases, and you have to create it somehow yourself. Of course, you can make the argument that you want the pad to be kind of more simpler as a starting point, and then you can do your own tweaks. But I do like a more defined approach, and then it's easier to undo or not do something from there. So the pads were super, super cinematic, very, dark, cinematic, ambient, moody. I really enjoyed that. Some of them were just 10 out of 10. Performance palettes, again, this comes down to preference. I'm not a big user of that, so it doesn't make sense for me to say much of that, but it's a good way to pull in sounds into the same patch, and these can be great for inspiration, to play around and find something you like and combine things in a very fast fashion, which I could probably learn something from, because I'm a pretty slow writer when it comes to this kind of an approach, but otherwise I'm pretty fast. Rhythmic Pedals. Again, I like these very much. The simpler, usually the better for me, because then you can, again, build your own harmony, etc. So really good elements, some really good mixing in there as well. And in the Xtra Playables, really loved the rhythmic chunks. I kind of wanted to hear more of that in the pedals. But again, maybe they are there. It's just, there's, you know, a bunch of stuff to go through. But hey, we have the single pedals here, so let's actually see whether they do that. So. Yeah, these do exactly the thing I talked about. So this is what I'm looking for. These are, yeah, really cool. Yeah, these are exactly my kind of approach. Yeah, very cool. So very nice to have that in there. But yeah, I mean, those are pretty much summarizing my thoughts on this. Let's just throw that in there. Cool. So yeah, seems like definitely taking the lessons and what they've learned from Scoring Guitars 1, and this seems to pair with that super nicely. So it's a good combo to have them together as well. But yeah, I mean, that pretty much sums up my thoughts on this. If you have this at home or at your studio, let me know what you think. Let me know your experiences on this, what you've done with it, and let me know what you think about this video as well. And again, thank you to Heavyocity for sending this over. And if you have any comments, thoughts about this demo, this video, let me know down in the comments. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Finished.